It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. I am your host, Dan Dix, here at Press for Truth. We're going to be live for a little while here today, talking about the latest information in regards to the death of George Floyd. If you haven't seen this yet, it's absolutely disgusting what has happened to this man. Let me show you a little bit about what we're going to be going through today. Hang on, just bear with me. We're going to take a look at some of the original footage that has surfaced showing the police officers, in case you haven't seen this yet, literally suffocating this man to death with their knee on his neck for upwards of 8 minutes. We're also going to take a look at this footage. Hey, quiet guys. Got some dogs here with me. Bear with me, guys. We're also going to take a look at this footage here, which is, it shows how he was put in handcuffs and was absolutely not resisting arrest whatsoever, yet he ended up on the ground with a knee on his neck. We'll take a look at some of the trending hashtags on Twitter, like George Floyd was murdered, and this on Twitter we have this issue right here going on as well that we have to talk about, guys. This fake news going around, this meme showing this guy who's a known troll wearing a Make Whites Great Again hat, who people mistaken for the police officer, and this led to a whole bunch of blue checkmark Twitter people commenting on this and retweeting it. Here's something from Ice Cube. He says, "How many cops have to kill black Americans before we strike back?" All based on that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump here now has his tweets being fact-checked by Twitter. As you see, when he posted about the mail-in ballots, we now get this thing. Get the facts about mail-in ballots. Riots and protests are happening in Minneapolis over this right now. And we're also going to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. The ultimate weapon in this information war that brought this to the attention of the masses was this right here. It was a camera, and if it wasn't for those people filming this incident, we wouldn't even know that this took place. And these things take place all the time. Now, let me just make sure we are in fact live, and we do have people tuning in. All right, we got about 200 people tuned in. Please, guys, click that thumbs up button, share this link, let people know we're live. Leave me your comments and questions in the comment section below, and I'll be going through all of your comments and questions throughout the duration of this broadcast, and then we're going to cover some of the latest news. Let me just see who we have here today. Hello, Jose. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, the doctor. Hey, PFT from Quebec. Hi, Julian. All right, we got a bunch of people tuned in. Once again, guys, please help us with the algorithms here on YouTube by clicking that thumbs up button and sharing this video, the important information we're going to be covering in this video, including some of this. Now, I'm not going to go through this at great length because it's rather difficult to watch, to be honest. Here we can see the man being pinned down by the officers. You can hear him reeling in pain. Let me turn it up a bit.
I can't. Y'all an opportunity to get in, bro. I told you can't win. My knees.
They're telling him you can't win.
Man. I'm through. I know you didn't listen. That's the fool.
We have somebody speaking out also who's holding the cell phone. But this man right here is screaming out multiple times that he cannot breathe. He cannot breathe. He needs some water. He's begging, please, please. He starts crying out to his mom. It's just unreal. And the cop, as you can see here, has his hand in his pocket. He's just casually sitting there with his knee on this man's neck. And this goes on for, as I said, about 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Now, these officers have since been fired. There's 4 police officers on the other side of this vehicle, all crunching on this man, on his knees, on his legs, and on his neck. It's just unbelievable. But this is some of the footage that you may not be seeing yet, which absolutely proves that this man was not resisting. Now, as we let this play out, let's talk about the fact of why he was pulled over in the first place. And this is all about allegedly fraud, mail fraud. I think he signed a check or something to that degree, but it's essentially in regards to money and mail laundering, fraud, not laundering, don't quote me on that, but it's fraud for signing a check or something to that degree. And that's what this man died for, essentially. Now, it obviously escalated over time, but let me click ahead here, and you can see the officers have him here. They're going to take him out of his vehicle here. Here are the people on the side who end up filming the incident. And here he is. They have him. They bring him around the side, and as you can see, he's already in handcuffs here, folks. They have him well contained. They make him sit down on the ground here, as you can see. I'll skip ahead a little bit, and you can see they, just start taking his information, start talking to the man. You can see this officer here on the right pulls out a paper and pad right there, starts taking down the man's info, and he's sitting here on the ground peacefully in handcuffs. We'll scroll through to the point where they pick him up, and they bring him over to the cruiser. Here they're walking him. You can see he's not resisting. He's clearly not resisting. He's got multiple officers on him. Here they are, taking him away. You can see here on the left side of the screen. And way up in the left corner of the screen here, you can see where they take him over here. He's still not resisting. He's walking just fine. And we'll skip ahead here. The clip eventually ends. It's hard to see what happens, but he falls to the ground. And then the altercation begins, which we pick up from this footage here, where he ended up kneeling on this man's neck for 8 minutes, where he says he can't breathe, and he eventually dies. He eventually becomes unresponsive and completely unconscious, and he just sits there essentially dead. These men were watching him die. You know what I mean? He sat there with his hands in his pockets, with his knees on his neck. And this raises some serious issues about police training in the United States and about police brutality and just how bad that is starting to escalate right now. Now, these men, as I said, have been fired, but I think that's not necessarily going to please the people of Minneapolis. Here we see they have been rioting in the streets. There was chaos and destruction in Minneapolis Tuesday night as police officers and protesters clashed over the death of George Floyd. The outrage began with a video showing police arresting the 46-year-old in South Minneapolis Monday night. "I can't breathe, please. The knee on my neck," Floyd is heard saying in the video. The video shows an officer kneeling on Floyd's neck, pinning him to the ground outside Cup Foods, Chicago Avenue, East 38th Street, for more than 7 minutes. Floyd died a short time later at the Hennepin Healthcare. And protests have been going on all over the place, and people have been posting about this, as I said, on Twitter, and it's led to this. So let's talk a little bit about this. The troll that's being pictured in this meme that's been spreading around like wildfire by all these blue checkmark Twitter accounts on Twitter who are just claiming that this man is the same as this man right here, this well-known troll. Here it is. We got this guy saying, "Here is Derek Chauvin," which is the actual name of the cop, "the racist cop who kept his knee on George Floyd's neck, cut off his air passage, and murdered him wearing a 'Make Whites Great Again' hat. A clear sign that this piece of excrement should have been taken off the streets a long time ago." And again, this is incorrect information. This led to Ice Cube here saying, We got a wolf in wolf's clothing. The demons are among us. He goes on to say the FBI knows exactly who the racists are in each police department, and they're still letting them keep their jobs until something like this happens. Stop sitting on critical information. Weed them out right now. Again, these are celebrities who are taking the bait. You know, they jumped all over this without actually doing any sort of due diligence into whether or not this is actually the guy who the meme says he is. Meanwhile, Twitter is now fact-checking certain tweets, particularly on the President of the United States, Donald Trump, as we see here. They're going to put this, get the facts about mail-in ballots, but all of these tweets going on by guys like Ice Cube, as we see here, where he says, when are we going to strike back? How long will we go for black on blue crime before we fight back? And of course, this is, you know, the guy's already been tweeting this fake meme, you know, that's been going out there and this false misinformation. So Twitter's not actually interested in dealing with the false info, as you can see, because this is spreading like wildfire and they haven't put a stop to it, but they're putting a stop to some Donald Trump's tweets, or at least putting these fact-checking tickers on it. It's absolutely ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get back to your comments and questions, and we'll quickly scroll through here and see how to. Let me scroll back. We got a lot of stuff that I've missed, but let me know your thoughts so far on what you've been seeing in the mainstream's coverage of this event. And where do you think this is going to go from here? We've seen similar things before. People have pointed out there was a guy, his name, I can't remember it at the moment, but I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, where it was a very, very, very similar incident that took place, and those police officers were acquitted. So, as I said, I don't think the protesters are going to be pleased if it just ends up that these guys are fired and that's it. You know, criminal charges need to be sought here because this is beyond police brutality. You know, murdering a man in broad daylight like that is just absolutely shocking. All right, got a lot of comments. Somebody says, I have a brother who is an NYPD and a brother who's correctional officer. They told me this was not handled correctly. Yes, to say so is a massive understatement. I believe the chief of police there did come out saying this was handled absolutely wrong, and that's why the guys were fired. But again, a lot of people think this needs to go a lot further than just simple firing. I mean, again, when you just look at the footage for itself, it's gut-wrenching. It's just absolutely shocking that something like this can take place in America. But again, the fact that we have people filming right here is the only reason why any of us are even aware of this at all. You know, it's because of this, which I have pictured right here. My ultimate weapon in the info war is the camera. This is why we were made aware of this. And the scary thing is, these things are probably happening a heck of a lot more often than we actually know. And it's until we continue to put the cameras in the faces of these police officers who are doing these things, people are going to continue to go unaware of the fact that these things are going on. But guess what? This does happen. This is very real. This is serious, serious police brutality coming at the hands of the cops in Minnesota. And that's why people are now rioting in the streets. Let's take a quick look at this report put out by some CBS local in Minnesota. Let me pull it back here.
CCO also streaming on CBS and Minnesota.
The outrage began with a video showing police arresting 46-year-old George Floyd in South Minneapolis last night.
I can breathe. Please, the name of it.
In the video, you can see an officer kneeling on Floyd's neck, pinning him to the ground outside Cup Foods on Chicago and East 38th Street. Floyd died a short time later. Today, hundreds flooded the streets at that same intersection to protest Floyd's death. They then marched to the police station where the officers who arrested Floyd worked. Our team coverage begins tonight with Jeff Wagner. He joins us now from outside the Minneapolis Police 3rd Precinct, where a crowd is still gathered. Jeff?
Yeah, this crowd, I want to say comparative to about an hour ago, it's calmed down a bit, but then next thing you know, you start to hear the sound of tear gas being fired, flashbangs
This was last
being
night,
fired.
guys.
We've
This
had
isn't
what
going
believes
to
be rubber bullets
slow
of sorts
down anytime
fly
soon.
Not far from us, hearing people
Wouldn't be
get
surprised
hit.
if we'd see
There's
more of this
still
tonight.
hundreds of people here who are actually standing right by the 3rd Precinct, right next to the officers. It's been a pretty chaotic scene starting about 6 p.m. tonight.
Now, I haven't watched this particular news broadcast, so we won't go through it now, but I have seen other footage of the riots. A lot of protesters went to the police station, started smashing police cars, and as I said, I think this is going to continue. This is going to continue until actual real justice is served. I mean, how one can look at this as anything else other than a murder is beyond me. I mean, it's beyond misconduct, or it's beyond faulty training or anything like that. This is blatant death, a murder, a killing by cop that we've all unfortunately witnessed here on YouTube. And if you're just tuning in, guys, I want to remind you that there is footage that has surfaced showing that this man was not resisting. Okay, here he is sitting on the ground in handcuffs. They already had the situation contained. I mean, the guy was in cuffs. They've got 4 police officers with 1 man in handcuffs, and they have to restrain him to the point of him suffocating to death. That's not right. That is clearly not right. Something has clearly gone epically wrong with this situation. And as I said, until justice is served, people are going to continue to riot in the streets and to protest the absolute brutality coming from the police force. I mean, do you guys remember when we used to be able to look up to the police, when it was something that was, young kids would aspire to? You would see them hold the hands of an old lady and help them across the street, and it was a very highly respected thing. That's changed, guys, over time. I mean, when they started becoming more and more militarized, when they began donning ski masks and strapping themselves up in weapons that would look like they're about to march into Baghdad, that's when, slowly but surely, people started to notice the incremental changes. And it's not only in their attire and in the way that they appear, but it's also in the way that they conduct themselves that we're starting to see the negative training. It's all starting to unfold. It should be a respected profession, but it isn't. And the reason why it isn't is because of so many incidents like this that continue to pop up. Let's get back to some of your questions and comments. We got 478 people tuned in right now at the moment, guys. Please click that thumbs up button and share this link. Let people know we are in fact live right now. YouTube's algorithms are designed to block this channel's type of content from being seen. And I want to remind you to support the efforts of this channel by simply sharing the videos, clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment, but also by going to the description and checking out where you can subscribe to us on all the other channels, BitChute and DTube and Minds and Float. There's a whole bunch of great decentralized channels that I'm on right now. And there's also links to where you can financially support our efforts here at Press for Truth, because we need your help in that area as well. All right, let me get back to your comments and questions. See a lot of comments. If you guys do have some serious questions, put a whole bunch of question marks up behind it. It makes it easier for me to see them as I'm scrolling by here. There's a lot. Let's see. Kind of weird that they walked him across the street, says them see face man. Well, luckily the footage captured that, but not only that, but the other people who were over there with their cell phones, who were smart enough to boom, hit record and start documenting the event that was happening right before their eyes. Again, the camera is again proving to be one of our greatest weapons in this information war. If that didn't happen, if it wasn't filmed, people simply wouldn't know that this is why this man died. More divide and conquer to divide us. Says we are equals no future. Let's see. More divide and conquer. He kept turning around and mouthing the cop that is resisting. Well, even if he was being mouthy to any cops, if that's what you're saying, the man was in cuffs. There was 4 officers against 1. He's pinned on the ground. I don't think a couple of mouthy words warrants the knee on the neck, regardless. These cops are pathetic, and they're losers. And again, simple firing is not enough, in my opinion. I think these guys need to be criminally charged, potentially with murder. Luna72 says, this has caused an unnecessary race war. Thanks a lot for thugs. Now innocent people are going to be victims because of these 4 thug cops. And that's a good point. There has been a race war brewing in the U.S. for quite some time, and the polarization that has come at the hands of Donald Trump has really shown that and really revealed that. And now we're seeing it really, really grow exponentially, especially because of this. Guys, if you're just tuning in, there was a false meme going around on Twitter saying that this officer that you see here on the left is the same guy as you see here on the right, wearing a Make Whites Great Again hat, and a whole bunch of blue checkmark Twitter people like Ice Cube here jumped the gun and started retweeting this, and it has spread like crazy, leading to the belief that this was racially motivated, which it very well may have been. But to connect that with this guy wearing the Make Whites Great Again hat is absolutely false news. It's absolutely incorrect. And as we said, Twitter hasn't caught on to this, the fact that this is wrong, but it's spreading and it's brewing this race war. Meanwhile, they're focusing on things like this. Donald Trump, have you seen this? New fact-checking things show up on his tweets, but not Ice Cube here. No. He can say, when are we going to strike back against the cops? Because they're clearly all racists wearing racist attire as they brutally murder people. Again, it's all that was all based on this troll campaign, this fake news meme that's been going around, which is leading and escalating to, as the someone in the comments said, a race war. All right, let me get back to the comments. There's a lot of stuff scrolling through. Let's see. Terrorists are the politicians and the federal government. Yeah, well, I mean, that is one of the bigger takeaways from this, says MB. Thanks for the comment. I mean, clearly we are seeing the violent arm of the state revealing itself when a man can murder another man in broad daylight and simply just be fired from his job for it. I mean, I really think more is going to come of this, as it should. And I fear if it doesn't, the riots in Minneapolis are only going to get crazier and crazier. Let's just take another look at where this is heading, according to CBSN Minnesota.
A far cry from what it was earlier. Now, this all started at the intersection of 38th and Chicago. Thousands packed the area for the protest at 5 o'clock, but were also spread out to remain socially distant. Organizers emphasized keeping this protest peaceful. People took turns sharing their frustrations and grief with the crowd. Chants of "I can't breathe" and "it could have been me" filled the air. A man who claims to have been one of the witnesses of Floyd's arrest also addressed the crowd. Protesters were glad to know that the 4 officers involved were fired, but they say the true justice won't be served until there's charges and a conviction.
See, they've already said, apparently, that yes, the fact that they've been fired is good, but that is not enough. They will not be satisfied until there is a conviction and justice is heard. I mean, you guys have seen where this has gone before in the United States. I don't know how old some of you are, but I certainly can remember the Rodney King beating, which again was captured on film. Thank God for that cameraman. People may not have known that this went on, but that incident was captured on film where they viciously beat him, and it led to the LA riots. Do you remember how brutal the LA riots got? The reason for that, because those officers were just let off. They did go to trial, and the judge determined that they didn't do anything wrong. Boom, LA riots, now infamous, some of the world's worst. We don't want to see another replay of that in Minnesota. So I think this judge better really think about this moving forward when it comes to bringing these 4 men to justice, if it does go in that direction, which I certainly think it should. Let's continue with this.
When you look at situations, you say to yourself, could this have been prevented? And that goes without saying in regards to this situation. That young man was no longer a threat once you subdued him, handcuffed him, and you had your knee on his neck. You could have very easily got up, put him in the car like you was asked to on several occasions.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, we're all human beings, and we're all in this community together. It's just tough to see someone have their life ended the way it did.
Now, around 6 p.m., the protest turned into a march towards the 3rd precinct, where it is believed that the officers worked. A much smaller group than the initial protest started vandalizing the building, shattering a window, spray painting squad cars and the side of the building. Officers then showed up in riot gear and started firing tear gas and flashbangs, which you can hear going off right now, as many protesters were hurling rocks, water bottles, anything they could get their hands on towards the officers. The unruly crowd measured in hundreds, a far cry from the peaceful group that started the protest.
It's real ugly. The police have to understand that, you know, this the climate they have created.
It appears we have a long night ahead of us. Again, every few seconds when it gets quiet, you suddenly hear the sounds of flashbangs and tear gas being fired in the crowd. You're looking at it right now. You're watching the crowd disperse. It appears someone might have been shot with one of those rubber paint bullets. People are very upset tonight. I spoke on the phone a few minutes ago with Trey Pollard. He's one of the sound bites you heard earlier. He's one of the organizers of the initial protest. He said this is not what was supposed to happen. He said this is an anger and spillover of what people are feeling, but this is not the right platform to express that. He said this is not the way it was supposed to end this evening.
Well, as the one protester said, you know, this was brought upon by them. You know, they were the ones who acted first here, and people are upset about it, and obviously rightly so. I mean, again, here's the proof right here. Let's play it again for you, that he was sitting on the ground in handcuffs, not resisting. They pick him up here. Let's just watch it. You know, he's already in pain. He's screaming there. He's hurt. He's like, hey, what, you know, you can see him like in pain there. They've got him contained. There are a number of officers around him. He's in handcuffs, for crying out loud. And he's complying. Look at him. He's willingly walking with them over to the other vehicle. And if you look up in the top left of the screen now, up here, this is where it happens. And you just keep watching, and you'll see all of a sudden he falls down, and then that's the end of this clip. It's tough to say what caused him to initially fall down, because as far as I can tell, this is the only footage of that happening. You'll see it right now up here in the top left corner. Here's the people who he was with going over there to film, and boom, he's on the ground. We don't know exactly what happened, but we can just see him going down in that instance. And then this is what preceded that.
You think that's cool though, bro? You're a bum, bro. You're a bum for that. You're a bum for that, bro.
He's now unconscious at this point.
You're sitting there stopping his breathing right now.
Look at
He's
him.
about to go out right now, bro.
Look at
Bro.
him.
So you just
Get
gonna-
off of him now.
What is wrong with y'all?
What the fuck? He got made. He got made.
This is just
He cannot find
unreal.
that one. Get over here.
Absolutely gut-wrenching to watch. And as I said, guys, this continues. Look how long this goes on for. 7 to 8 minutes. I'm just skipping ahead, and it's still, he's got his knee on his neck still.
Not
Look.
one time,
He's off track right now. He's
But
probably
bro,
OD.
go back in the store, bro. You don't understand.
No.
Bro.
I'm the
Okay, that's cool. Go back in the store, bro. Go back in the
I mean, once the man is limp and unconscious, Why would the officer feel the need to still continue to put his full body weight with his knee on his neck? Unless he was trying to kill the man. I mean, that's why I think this needs to go to trial. There needs to be a serious investigation into this officer, the other officers who were involved in this incident. There were 4 police officers who were involved in this incident, pinning this man down, one with his knee on his neck in particular. All these guys need to go to trial and be facing murder charges. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm going to go back and check that out. We got 467 people tuned in, guys. Please click that thumbs up button. Share the video. Spread the information. Get the word out that we are live right now, and this is a grave injustice that has taken place. We don't think that protests are going to slow down anytime soon. But it remains to be seen how this is going to be held moving forward, and if it will go to trial for murder charges, which, as I said, I think it should. Prime Proper says, those aren't officers, they are gang members. Yes, exactly. They are thugs who are carrying out the agenda of the 21st century mafia, which is government. And these are the violent arm of the government who are clearly thugs. I mean, when you can murder a man in broad daylight and just get fired from your job, then yeah, that's thug-like behavior, and that's the mafia pushing it, you know, aka government. This is clearly murder, says Liberty Howell. Yep, absolutely. Jail them right now, says Drum Spirit. Cop has his hand in his pocket, applying as much force as possible. It's a tactic. Yet Floyd's dead, not fighting back. Yes, that's a good point. You know, he's probably not putting his hands in his pockets to be casual about it. It's not a casual event. He may have been applying more pressure by pushing down on his leg. That's very true. Let's see. What happens to protect and serve or innocent until proven guilty? Police state now way too militarized, says Polluted Minds 702. Yeah, good point. They appointed themselves judge, jury, and executioner. And let's not forget, this is all over forgery of falsely signing a check or something to that degree, that they would appoint themselves judge, jury, and executioner and murder this man in broad daylight. For what? You know? And it does seem like it's racially most motivated. I mean, you don't see footage like this of a middle-aged white cop in Minnesota pressing his knee down against I don't know, an old Jewish man or an old Chinese man. I mean, you just don't see these things. But it happens all the time in the black community. And I think that's why a lot of the blue checkmark Twitter people were triggered by that meme, and without doing any due diligence, they just jumped on it because they have seen this stuff over and over and over again, which is why they sadly fell for that. All right. Rika, the hopeful voluntarius, good to see you. Says moral parity, you are not allowed to defend yourself or someone else from the state the same way you could from another individual. I know, I couldn't help but wonder what people should have done around a situation like that. I don't know how I would handle a situation like that myself. If I saw an officer murdering a man right in front of me, my gut instinct would be to tackle that guy, would be to kick him in the face, would be to just get him off the person who is being killed unjustly right in front of my eyes. But I mean, that's not a decision that's easy to make, and obviously if you're there in the heat of the moment, you're probably not going to do such a thing. And again, not so sure you should. Let me know what you guys think. What would you do in that scenario if you were the one holding the camera? You know, would you take it upon yourself to interject and become a third-party intermediary and jump in there and try to save the day, potentially putting yourself at risk? Or continue to film and document the event and show the world that this is how the violent police state is acting? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments section. Again, guys, if you're just tuning in, there's been a brutal death in the U.S. at the hands of the violent arm of the state. Some police officers as you can see here from the footage, had their knees on this man's neck to the point of him going unconscious.
You can't win, man.
Here's where he's struggling.
I know you didn't never listen.
He's saying, I'm through, you know,
I can't breathe shit.
saying, I can't breathe.
Bro, get in the car, man.
I will.
Get in the car.
I can't move.
I've been waiting the whole time, man. Get in the car.
Mama.
Get up.
His friend's telling him, just get up, man. Just get up and get in the car. And he's saying, I can't move. I can't breathe. He's calling out to his mom here.
All right.
Mama.
I can't.
I can't.
Gave y'all the opportunity to get in, bro. I told you can't win.
My knee.
You can't
My neck.
win, man.
I'm through.
I know you didn't listen.
He said, my knee, my neck,
That's the food.
can't breathe.
My neck hurts.
Neck hurts.
Everything hurts.
Everything hurts.
There's water or something.
Said, I need some water or something, please. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe, officer.
I can't breathe, officer. And boom, he presses down hard. You can see him pushing. Look, he's applying pressure there.
Bro, with your feet on it, man.
Oh man, I can't even watch it anymore. And I think that one commenter may have been correct, that it appears that he's using his hand in his pocket to apply even more pressure on this guy's neck as he gurgles and loses breath and eventually loses consciousness and then eventually dies. It's not until you actually watch the footage that you realize just how unbelievably brutal and disgusting this broad daylight murder was at the hands of the Minnesota police. This is why, as I said in the title of this video, these guys should be charged with murder. He was not resisting, absolutely provable by the video footage. Again, if you're just tuning in, you may have missed it, but here it is. Here's the footage of him not resisting, being taken out of his vehicle, being placed in handcuffs, being seated on the ground here. You see they've got him completely contained. They pick him up. You look at his face right there. He's in absolutely an unbelievably amount of pain. They've clearly got the situation under control. He's in handcuffs. I mean, what the heck's he going to do? And it ends up with him dying. I'm going to quickly jump back to your comments and questions here, guys. Again, thank you so much for being with us here live today at Press for Truth. Please do share this link now and when the broadcast is over as well. Get the word out that we are live today. Those cops need to have an accident, says Deuce Durden. Well, I don't know about that. I don't wish any ill harm or anybody to do anything like that, but I think justice does need to be served, and these guys should be rotting behind bars for a long time. Did they pepper spray him before they broke his neck, asks Peter Birdsall. I'm not exactly sure about that, but the officer can be seen with some mace in his hand. Now, I do think that is because of the people who are surrounding him and pondering whether or not to approach. And I think the instance that they took a step or two closer to him, he pulled out his mace, and that's why he had it. I could be wrong about that, but according to what I've seen from the footage, it doesn't seem like they've maced him or tased him or pepper sprayed him or anything like that. He was just taken to the ground in cuffs, pinned on the ground, and then they put their knee on his neck and crushed him to death. So yeah, it doesn't appear that they used any of those things. Again, guys, I want to reiterate this point right here. If those guys weren't filming this, we wouldn't know that happened. You know, as we move forward in this post-COVID 1984 world where the government is going to track, trace, and database every single thing you do, they're setting up their surveillance control grid all over the world. This is a global phenomenon. Well, that means we need to arm ourselves as well with the kind of technology, which is a double-edged sword, that can be used to protect us against the violent arm of the state, like the video camera. You know, again, if those guys weren't filming this, we probably wouldn't know that it happened. And in this day and age, we all have one of these in our pockets, essentially. So yes, the spying devices that we carry around from day to day are generally not a good thing. You're better off leaving it at home. But if you do have one, know that it is a double-edged sword. You can use it to your advantage. You can film the violent arm of the state acting in the way they do and expose it for what it is by shooting video of an incident and posting it online. This is something we can do today. So I would encourage you guys to always be on the ready with your camera moving forward as the police state continues to escalate, as we continue to see it ramp up and incidents like this continue to happen. Be on the ready, guys. Be on the ready with your cameras. You may save the day. You may be some family's angel who has the missing link, the smoking gun answer to some of this police brutality. That's the only way we can continue to hold them accountable, is to shine the bright light of truth on them. And let's do that by utilizing the technology we have at our fingertips, our cameras. So kudos to the people there who did have the wherewithal to pull up their cameras and start filming that. Again, as I said, if they didn't do that, we may have never known what happened. All right, let me get back to your comments and questions here really quick before we may call this one for the day, guys, unless we have a bunch of new comments or questions coming in. We got 432 people tuned in. I hope we have at least 432 thumbs up. Please, guys, click that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Share the video. Check the links in the description to find out how you can find me on Patreon and Subscribestar and GoFundMe for your financial support. But also, it's really important as a hedge to join me on these other censorship-resistant platforms, these decentralized platforms like BitChute and Minds. And Library is a new one that I'm on now. I've been on it for a little while, but I haven't really been pushing it. I'm going to put a link to that in the description as well. Be sure to subscribe to me on Library, guys. This is going to be a big one moving forward. And, you know, this type of information will be censored from YouTube moving forward. We've seen the massive clampdown on that, and that's going to continue, especially when we continue to expose what the state is doing to their own people. They're not going to allow us to use this particular technology, this live platform that I'm on now, to defeat them. You know, so yes, we will eventually be pushed off off of this platform, but have no fret. We're already on a lot of other really good ones. Check me out at bitchute.com/press4truth, minds.com/press4truth. And there's a whole bunch of other great ones. The links are located in the description below. All right, let me see if you guys got any other good comments or questions. Good at stuff says Ephesians 5:11. Maybe you can elaborate on Ephesians 5:11, but my guess would be that we wrestle not against the flesh, but against the spirits in the forces on high, essentially. So, the doctor says, Dan, what do you think of police reform and for them to stop operating in secrecy? Yes, massive reform needs to take place. And in fact, I think it needs to happen on such a grand scale as to not have government nationalized police anymore. I think we ought to venture into the area of privatized police forces and let the free market decide who is doing the good policing and who is doing the bad policing, and the bad policing will eventually be weeded out. I mean, look at it in the form of private cops right now, in the form of personal bodyguards or mall cops or security guards or things of that nature. In general, they're not the ones causing the problems and committing these massive crimes that we see that are going viral like this. No, it's the state-sanctioned police who are doing those things. So to answer your question, I think we should take reform a step even further and fully privatize police. You know, let some good men who really want to make the world a better place out there get involved in this, but not have to be coming under the umbrella of the state. Let me know what you guys think about that idea. Tessa303 says we need community managed police. Yes, exactly. You know, break it down more onto the community level rather than coming from the state, which, as we see, we can't trust. They completely, continuously engage in misconduct. Not only that, it's not just misconduct. They're being trained to act in this way these days. The police training over the decades has clearly changed. You can just see it in their behavior. And as I said, you know, what we used to look up to decades ago as an honorable job has disappeared here now in the 21st century because of the proof, you know, behind the pudding. The proof of their conduct is coming out with footage and clips like what we're seeing now with George Floyd. William says this video will be taken down. Guys, that's very possible. Please copy this stream, this live stream, and save it just in case it does get taken down. I will be doing that as well, but I've tried to do that before when YouTube will leave a live stream processing for over 24 hours, so you can't copy it during that time, and then they just delete it. So hopefully they don't pull that one on this, but copy these streams and upload them to your own channel if you like. Share the information. That's all I want, is the information to get out there. All right, guys, I think we may call it for the day, but if you are just tuning in, just for a quick recap, this is the footage that surfaced of George Floyd being murdered in broad daylight by the police in Minneapolis. And it's absolutely gut-wrenching footage to watch because they quite literally strangle the man until he gurgles his last breath, and they continue to have his knee on his neck. He did die in hospital later, but it's still absolutely brutal to watch the point that led up to that with this officer with his knee on his back. I'll reiterate, he was not resisting. That is evident in this second CCTV footage that has been now released, where we see they had him contained, they had him in handcuffs, they had the situation under control, and all of a sudden he found himself thrown to the ground, 4 men on him, with one of them with their knees in his neck. And now we see the people of Minneapolis are rioting in the streets. And it seems that is most likely gonna continue, as we said, unless justice is served, unless a judge acts accordingly and has these men tried for murder. And if that doesn't take place, folks, we may see a repeat of what we saw with the Rodney King beating in the early 90s in Los Angeles. We cannot have a repeat scenario of that happening. So we're going to continue to document this one and pay close attention to it as it continues to develop. This is this all just happened. The riots in Minneapolis were taking place last night, and it's very quite possible that they're going to continue today and on into this evening, unless something is done quickly, unless justice is served quickly, and these men are charged for murder, as they should be. One last look at your comments and questions before we call it, guys. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, for continuing to be a subscriber here on YouTube. I want to encourage you to subscribe to me on BitChute, bitchute.com/pressfortruth. That's more and more so becoming my go-to second platform, my backup platform, should I be kicked off of this one, which I know is coming. But of course, YouTube's where the masses are, so I'm going to continue to use this platform as much as I can while I have the opportunity. But it's most important that you join me on BitChute, Minds, Float, DLive. There's a number of them. All the links are located in the description below, guys. And again, I want to encourage you to support our efforts financially if you can. I mean, we're in the post-COVID 1984 world, so I know financially things have been difficult for people, and I fully understand that. If you are in that boat, please don't contribute, don't donate. The best thing you can do is just click the thumbs up button on all my videos, share them when they come out. That is really, really greatly appreciated. But if you can afford to contribute to our efforts. We do need that help coming directly from you, the viewers, as I've been completely demonetized from Google, as I'm sure viewers of this channel already know. And I rely 100% on my income coming directly from you, the viewers, as I continue to put out this content for free, as I will continue to put out this content for free. There will be no news paywall here. But if you do appreciate that and you want to chip in, check us out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. There you can use PayPal. If you don't like PayPal, you can contribute in other ways. There's Bitcoin. There's other cryptocurrencies. You can join as a PFT patron. You can join as a subscribe star member. You can use the Patreon alternative and sign up for a monthly reoccurring amount. Any amount is greatly appreciated. So please check the links in the description to find out how you can contribute to our efforts here moving forward. And I think that's all for today, my friends. I'm going to call it. Again, let me know what your thoughts about this situation in the comment section below. What would you have done if you were there on the scene holding the camera in your hands? Take matters into your own hands by getting aggressive against the violent arm of the state, or continuing to document the incident so that the world can see what is happening. Love to hear your thoughts on that, guys. Let me know in the comments section below. Once again, thank you so much for being subscribers here and for tuning in. And that's going to do it for today, guys. Take care. Stay tuned for more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.